Welcome back to Benchmark. In our Spotlight segment today, we take a look at the most important trends emerging in the ICT and BPO arenas, as well as the prospects for the BPO industry, keeping in mind the financial turmoil in the West. To shed more light on these topics, here's the CEO of H Zenith Software International, Dinesh Saparamadu. Welcome to Benchmark, Dinesh, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation to be on the show. Let's get to the crux of the point. What are the most important trends that are emerging in both the ICT and BPO areas?
Thank you for having me, Savitri. I think if you really look at the industry, what we call the IT BPO industry is actually one of the fastest growing industry, both locally as well as globally. If you really look at from an industry perspective, mobile technologies, nanotechnologies, the social media, areas of machine-to-machine communication are the areas that are growing very fast. And as a country, I think we have done quite a number of initiatives in each of these areas to really capture that opportunity, both in the BPO sector as well as what we call the IT sector.
Now, you said in an interview recently that app stores are catching up. I mean, these are online facilities for downloading software applications from mobile phones and iPhones, and most often are free. And apparently, more than 10 billion applications have been downloaded across the globe. Can you just elaborate a little bit on new technologies that are underpinning mobile telecommunications and also in the realm of community and public involvement, so to speak? How are these being used?
If you look at one of the industries that has the highest potential impact in our society is the mobile industry. The reason is, the mobile has the power to divide the digital gap, which is actually the between the haves and the haves not on the information age. And the way that it happens is that if you look at the technologies like 3G, LTE, which are faster internet speeds are becoming kind of available now. And part of this also is enabled through the new devices that are coming, things like the Android phones, which are like a handsets that are being built into the low-end market. The Android phones will allow you to have this internet access. So that's one part of it. Then we also have feature phones. Feature phones are not the smartphones but the phones that we commonly use. But now what's happening is that these feature phones have these technologies called USSD and SMS. But if you simply said, I think, text messaging and also the USSD. But now the operators have actually understood that this is an area that they can really bring information to the masses. So what they have done is they are exposing these technologies for application developers. So now developers can build very rich information apps, whether it's about weather information, whether it's about what's happening in the market or things like that, very rich application. And this is a new era of where what we call the telco app stores are being built. Now you have over-the-top app stores, which are the ones that we regularly understand and what we download. But we are having now telco app stores, which the richness of the telco network being exposed to the developers. So you will see a huge number of applications that are being built, and we are doing that in Sri Lanka, in other markets, and we are actually cross-selling these applications, and into other markets where you become now the developers are becoming a fantastic way of kind of bringing this into the world market. So the mobile technology is, just to summarize, the mobile technology is actually really revolutionizing the industry when it comes to information. It's not only voice anymore, it's all about data now.
H Zenith has a presence in 24 countries, so you probably have a pulse on what's happening in the West vis-a-vis countries like ours. In this context, how is the BPO industry faring these days, and what are the prospects? Of course, keeping in mind that there is economic and financial turmoil in the West.
Both BPO and the IT, the software industry, is very healthy. The reason is, even with the economic turmoil, what is happening is companies want to be efficient and productive. So way that they will become efficient and productive is to outsource their non-core processes. So the non-core processes being outsourced, that becomes your BPO part. Again, they also are looking into increased efficiency and productivity in their internal systems. That means going into finance systems, human resource systems, CRM systems, customer management systems. So with that, what's happening is there's a lot of automation going on. So because of that, as a part of this actually industry is becoming, it's a healthy industry, and countries like ours actually has a great opportunity to capture this information age and really be able to deliver those services for these countries.
Now you develop HR systems which are popular all over the world. What has the response in Sri Lanka been like for these HR systems?
In that aspect, actually, Sri Lanka is a little bit ahead when it comes to the implementations of systems. I think what we saw, Senate is now 14 years, and we saw about 14 years ago was that it was more of the multinational companies that were actually looking into this. Now, if you see, we see a lot of indigenous companies, lot of conglomerates are putting their emphasis on HR systems, and as a reason, I think we have about 85% of the installed HR systems in Sri Lanka, and they see the benefit of HR systems coming into place. Once once it become matured, and then they also when they see some very bottom line impact having a good HR system in their own organization.
Sri Lanka made the Gartner's top 30 list not too long ago. Now, how important are rankings like this for us?
It is extremely important, because being on the analyst radar actually makes it a very key component to make it a destination for IT BPO. So Gartner, A.T. Kearney, McKinsey, these are some of the large analyst organizations that really looks at to see, okay, what are the destinations for IT BPO. Main reason for that is when a Fortune 500 or a Fortune 1000 company decides where they want to go and actually set up their back office or their outsourcing operations, they look at these analysts and look at the indicators. So being on this analyst list, we are on the top 20 of A.T. Kearney, top 30 of Gartner, really gives us that endorsement saying that Sri Lanka is ready for business now, and it's a great destination to go for.
Time now for a commercial break. On the other side, we have more insights from Dinesh Saparamadu. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying with Benchmark. We continue with our exclusive interview with Dinesh Saparamadu. The government and the likes of ICTA have been making a lot of effort in IT penetration. However, our internet penetration still remains an abysmal 30% or so. What can and really must be done to improve this?
I think when it comes to internet penetration, I think use of internet is actually, like I mentioned before, the mobile phones and the mobile internet will actually increase the internet penetration. It's how you get information, how you access information and things like that definitely will increase. The biggest drawback for us is, in my opinion, is being affordability. The affordability of internet access, affordability of devices. Now with the new tablet devices that are coming, I think it will actually increase the internet penetration. ICTA has done a great job in creating the awareness in the rural areas of use of information, use of internet technologies like nanosalers and stuff like that. Now what it needs to do is that with our ongoing efforts, once the price points comes to a certain level that people can afford more devices as well as access to internet, I think it will definitely grow. But we are on the right path. If you look at the younger generation, more internet savvy than the generations before. So, and that is happening quite a bit, and we see that through our own recruitment processes, because we recruit from all over the country, and we have our access to quite a lot of students who are coming from diplomas to degrees and stuff like that, and we see that improving, and that's something I think over time I think it will definitely grow.
Now we have something like 4 million students studying in 10,000 schools, and if you look at the student population, that's a fifth of the country's population. So shouldn't, given what you've said thus far, shouldn't the focus be on this young generation taking IT into the future?
Definitely. I think that's a real advantage, is that is this, students that are, a younger generation. If you look at, for a even if you look at the A-level entrance, we, from the, it's between maybe 125 to 130 that sits, maybe 25,000 to 30,000 that qualify, and we have another batch of 100,000 that goes into other areas. That's where we need to focus on, because if we can get them into IT areas, IT means, software development, graphic design, and these areas, we'll be able to create a large number of IT professionals, not at the degree level, but at different levels, where we can actually bring them into market, where we will, that's where I'm very bullish about this industry, because we have the human resources. The students that we have is a greatest asset that we have.
As a nation, we tend to allow, or we tend to want the government and the public sector to take national development drives and run it. Now, is this the same when it comes to IT? Can the private sector actually help?
I think private sector is doing quite a number of activities in these areas. I think I can speak as being the past chairman of SLASCOM, which is the IT BPO industry body. We work very closely with the government in bringing in, this kind of, the increase of capacity. SLASCOM itself represent in the industry and university linkage programs, where we actually work very closely with the universities in increasing capacity, in giving feedback on their curriculums. Plus, we are looking at that batch we were talking about, that 100,000 that are after A-levels, how we can bring them into different vocational training institutions and making them IT professionals. So the private sector has a large role to play in this, increasing the capacity of this country. And I think the IT industry is, one industry I can say that has taken that lead and very well engaged with the government as well as the rest of the institutions to make that happen.
Speaking of indices, Sri Lanka ranked 86 3 years ago in the Network Readiness Index, and just last year we jumped 20 places to 66. We're also among the top 10 improvers in this network readiness. Now, how do you view this again in the context of us being a marketable destination for these industries?
I think if you really look at what's happening is, we are one of the most improved, like you mentioned, from the last 10 in the last year on the network readiness. That shows that we are putting the right policies and procedures to kind of be fast moving in this network readiness index. The challenge is, network readiness index is multiple indices. It's not only one indices, it is multiple indices that we kind of average out as one. So we need to work on both on the telecom side, on the IT literacy side. There are many areas. So we are in the right path. But I think the key for us is, can we improve all of these to become in the first 50 or the first 30? I think that is key for us. And these indices are important, because that's how you get ranked in the world. And I think we all need, both the private sector, the government, and, the operators needs to look at these particular indices that belongs to you, and how do we improve. And each one of us can kind of contribute into that. That becomes a whole indices becomes very much of a, the ranking becomes much higher on that.
So look at ICT in 10 years' time. Where do you see Sri Lanka in that landscape?
I like to see Sri Lanka being within the first or second in the export earning in the ICT, because we talked about the raw material for us in this is our intellectual capacity, and Sri Lanka is a country, I think, we are blessed with our intellectual capacity, and what we need to do is to really coach and mentor these young people and to bring them to come to this stage that we can be a world leader in IT and IT exports. That's one area. Second, I would like to see that more IT companies get into global markets, becoming global brands in and become in niche areas. I mean, we are known for open source, we are known for mobile, we are known for some nanotechnology areas. So we need to focus on these areas and really grow these companies to become larger brands in the world. And one of the reasons I see why this industry is not grown as fast as it should grow is that access to capital had been limited. For example, our conglomerates or our larger traditional companies don't know the potential of this. So there's no venture capital market. There's no private equity market that will actively grow this industry and really reap the benefits of that industry growth. What we have to look at our neighbor India, how they have done. And that could be from numbers, but we can also look at examples like Israel, Ireland, which are smaller than us, but they have done very well in the product segment, software and IT product segment. So we have a huge potential. I mean, this industry has, I think if you take one industry that has one of the greatest potential to really create an industry and known for is the IT industry. And what we need is more investments into companies, more entrepreneurship, and having angel investment, venture capital investment, private equity, and seeing some of these companies go public. And then you will actually build an ecosystem. Ecosystem is very important to really grow this industry next level.
That was Dinesh Saparamadu. The Voice of Business is up next after a brief commercial break.